Yes. Mark,
Hey, mate.
what the fuck is
Hey,
wrong with you?
I I think someone forgot they were supposed
Broden
to be
forgot?
on live with
Fuck,
you.
Broden? We had an email correspondence yesterday. I thought he was in.
I'm so sorry. I was just on Instagram randomly, and I'm supposed to be doing a trivia with my
Well,
friend,
do,
with my
do you want to have a
partner.
phone? Do you want to
I
have an
would love
interview,
to
or
have
do you
a
want to?
phone
Are you
conversation with you,
sure?
Ferg.
All
Of
right. Well,
course.
these questions are all designed. I mean, it says, "Who do you prefer
I'll answer them as
better?"
Broden. It's
All right.
fine.
All right. All right.
Don't change your thing.
All right.
I'll,
I'll keep
I'll,
it going.
I'll adapt to you, my friend.
Do you know where Broden is currently?
I think he's visiting his parents.
Oh fuck, Broden. He not only has he not made the interview, he's breaking social protocol.
I think it's okay. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry that this
that's
is. I'm so
okay.
sorry you got me. I
Yeah.
apologize that you
Mark, I
have to
can't
do
tell you
this with
the
me.
shock when your face turned up in the chat.
I didn't know. So I'm like, should I accept this? I'm just sitting there looking, and then I put the sound on, and then I've got you being like, "Oh God, he's not answering. Oh no, what am I gonna do?"
Oh god.
And
It's
I was
funny,
like, "Oh shit, I don't know. I don't know."
because I said the request, and then I reckon it was when it got to 8:07. I'm like,
Yeah,
Broden, you sly dog.
you slid. Well,
So
I
were you
did,
two?
Ferg. I thought better a lesser Donna than no Donna at all.
Yeah. Were you tuning in and thinking, oh, I'm looking forward to watching Broden, perform?
I was just going through my thing. I was just going through the feed, and I saw Beat Magazine was live, and I was like, oh, and then I clicked on it, and then I saw you having a panic attack. And so then I tried
This
to
is
get
amazingly
in.
serendipitous.
I know, and then I tried to get in touch with Broden, and I couldn't.
All right.
So then I was like, well, I wanna at least make sure that you have someone to talk
Yeah.
to.
I'm not gonna
Even
lie, this is a nicer surprise. I was actually secretly hoping that you would pick up the phone. This is
well,
when like calling a date and then like the dad picks up, that's Broden, and you're like, you're my
that's what's
dream
happening.
person. All right. I mean, question one, Broden, thank you so much for coming on the show.
So good to be here, and I remembered. Which is good.
How have you been surviving COVID?
I've been fine. I just been trying to, good days and bad days. And just sometimes you get a bit sad, and then there's nothing to distract you. So far, I've played all of the Uncharted games.
Okay.
Which has been fun. I'm halfway through Lost Legacy at the moment, the last Uncharted game. So I've been doing that. I've tried to learn the drums. which is to varying degrees of success. Although I do have my first little blood blister from
Oh,
playing too
wow.
much.
Have you ever seen that
So
film Whiplash?
I love Whiplash.
The drumming film?
Yes, it's a great film. It's a great film.
He drums so hard that his hands are blistered and he has to put them in the ice bath. Are you at that level yet?
No, God, no. I can play Back in Black, and I can play a very sloppy chop suey. But it's been a lifesaver. Like, I don't want to do it. It's probably like I'm literally just doing it because I found like the first couple of weeks I was getting really physically antsy, and there was nothing I could do, and I just couldn't stare at a screen anymore. I was like, if I have to keep looking at a screen, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I'd go for walks, but then I'd come back and I just had nothing for my body to do. So I was like, oh, I guess I kind of always wanted to try and learn an instrument. So,
Yeah.
I'll never have time for it beyond here to at least give it a kickstart. So that's where that came from. And it has been good. It keeps my body occupied when my mind doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Because I was going to ask Broden if you three lived in the same house, but you don't live in the same house, do you?
God, no. My my goodness, no. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Fuck no, man. Jesus Christ. No. No, 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 no. No,
If
we don't.
if
And
you
we
had to
never
live with one,
have.
you never have.
Well, I mean, there's been times when we've been on, like when we've say done Edinburgh.
Yeah.
When we've done Edinburgh, we've all had to live in the same house, and
Mm.
and recently we were working in America, where some of us lived in one house, and then we split up and lived in a couple of different houses. So we can, and it's fine. But
Mm.
no, I like to, a little bit of time apart's a good thing, Ferg. It's a good thing.
When you met at the University of Ballarat, what was the first time you three came together? Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, actually, it was pretty interesting because it wasn't. I mean, so I'm the eldest in the group, not by much,
Yeah.
but I'm a little bit older, and I had like
You don't look
3 years. Oh well, that's just that old Sicilian blood coursing through my veins. But that's very kind of you. But I was a year below Broden and Zach, and also Tom, who does our music, and also Sam, who writes with us. They were all in the same acting year level, and they were all a year above me. I had a couple of years off. So they all worked very closely together, because even though there's like 3 different years of acting and musical theatre at any one time when we're at uni, you really do just, with the 24 people or so that are in your class, they sort of become your friends. Become very tight with them. And it's rare that you'll sort of have friends or be close to other people or work with other people outside of your year level, right? Because all of your work is done in those classes, and all the end of year shows are done in those classes. So they all went through those 3 years together. Whereas I didn't. I was sort of just behind them. I was a year, connecting with my people, and they're all connecting. So they were always going to do something together, I
Okay.
think. That was always the plan. And the way I sort of snaked my way in there was because someone had written a student play. When you're in third year, you can write your own play if you want, put on your own play. And it's a classic Harrison Ford in Star Wars situation that's going, that story that happens here, right? Zach was directing this student play.
Wow.
He had cast Broden, and
Wow.
then he knew that I was a bit of a wild card, and that I could go from like 0 to 100 if I needed to. And he asked me to read lines for someone to like read opposite someone. He had no intention of casting me in this play, but he was like, "Can you just like, just go for it, just so to like, just to get the other actors like up as a favor?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I did it, and Zach was like, maybe actually Mark might be right for one of these roles. And then he put me in that play.
Wow.
And so then the first time we ever worked together was in this different sort of scenario where Zach was directing and Broden and I were acting. But what we all realized was, it was like, we all kind of clicked. Like they had their click in their year level, and they were like, "Oh, and we found this other guy in the year level below us that sort of also clicks with us and sort of also gets our sense of humor and is funny and that we like." So when they graduated and they went, they all got together and were like, "Let's do something funny. Let's let's try and do comedy." They're like, who else would work in this? And they thought of me. And then they asked me, and I was like super excited, because they were like, they were like the cooler, even though I was older than them, they were like the cooler older kids, because they were the year above me. They had more knowledge than me.
Yeah.
So that was the first moment, and Tom Armstrong, who does our music, was the lead in that play as well, which is just
Wow.
it's just a weird thing. Hasn't acted
Wow.
since.
And then, so was it like a particular like gig or like first show or first sketch that happened where you thought, "Oh wow, we've got something here," and like you'll become the Donna that you are now?
Oh yeah, man. Like there were a couple of moments, I suppose, but the one that really comes to mind, that always comes to mind when people ask that, was like, so when we were first writing together in our first year, because the boys very sweetly waited for me to finish uni before we did anything, and I've been super lucky. You know, I had like 3 gap years after high school where I did nothing but bartend and blew up my car twice, and like and like saved no money, and was like a real, just like fucking had no idea what I wanted to do. Thankfully fell into this acting course and met these guys. But they had a year outside of uni where they were like trying to make it as actors, and there was no work, and it was super disheartening, and it was very difficult. And they sort of waited for me to finish so then we could do something together. So I was very lucky in the sense that I finished uni, and I think literally, like, I think I finished on the Tuesday, and then the Thursday we started rehearsals for a comedy festival show. And we'd never written anything. We just applied for comedy festival and went, let's see what happens. And we'll like, because, you know, writers need a deadline, that kind of thing, right? So like, let's just give ourselves a really hard, scary deadline, and we'll give ourselves 3-4 months to write our first show. And we were writing them in library meeting rooms all throughout the Yarra area, right? Okay. And this one in particular happened in Carlton Library.
I know that library, yeah.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Meeting room upstairs, tiny little space. And so we're in there, and it was just me, Zach, and Broden that day, because we all had fucking jobs, and everyone, you know, like it wasn't set rehearsal times or anything. We would just that week go, who's available, when are people available, and if, you know, more than 2 of us were available at any one time, we'd get together and we'd do it, you know, because Adrian was in the group at this time, but he was also studying a Master's of Business. He's gone on now to be a defense attorney, I believe. Anyway, that's a tangent. So we're in there, and I had this idea because I had just had an experience at a friend's house where they were trying to get their Xbox voice activation to work. They were like, hey, check out this. Because, you know, this was before Google Home and shit. Yeah. And voice activation was like a thing of the future. And yes, hello, chat, by the way. It is me, Broden. And so anyway, they were trying to show me how their Xbox voice activation works, and they just couldn't get it to work. It kept being like, hey, Xbox, play this game, and it just kept playing music, right? It kept just doing something else, and I was fucking losing it. And I just thought it was the funniest thing. I wrote it down in my little book, and then I brought that to the guys, and I was like, this happens, maybe we can make a sketch out of this. And so we were trying, and it wasn't really working, and it wasn't really getting there, and it didn't make any sense. And then we sat down and we were talking about the improv, and we were like, it's not really going, it's something about it just isn't clicking. And then Zach was like, oh, have you heard that with voice activation things in Scotland, they really struggle because they cannot understand the accent? And then we all just went, oh, and then Zach got up, he tried it, did it in a Scottish accent, and then it was just like, it worked. And that ended up being one of the like really big popular sketches from our first show that we then took over to Edinburgh when we went to Edinburgh for the first time, and it absolutely smashed in Edinburgh. Yeah. And we tried to film it a couple of times. It was part of our first web series. We've never quite gotten it right on film, unfortunately, because it's a difficult one to get right, because the rhythms of it are so live. But that was one of the first moments I remember of all of us being like, oh, there's magic here, like when we get it right. And we're so excited. We went to lunch, we're full of energy, we're like, fuck yeah, we did, you know, like one of our first big breakthroughs. We came back and we wrote nothing for the rest of the day. We couldn't think of it. We were like completely just like, we had nothing left in the pipe, unfortunately.
And it also seems of recent, like even through this COVID stuff, that you guys have entered like a new level and like a new, like entering into fruition. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think you guys have, it's maybe seemingly from an outsider's perspective, it seems like Aunty Donna has like gone up levels of recent.
That's kind of what you say.
Well, I think that's like a public consensus as well.
Really? I don't
Yeah, I
know if
think so.
I don't know if I know of this. Care to elaborate? Like in what in with the podcasts or like
Yeah, podcasts,
the
and also just in terms of like, I think, because inside comedy circles, people worship you and love you, and then now I think like it's like everyday Bobby on the street. They'll be like, "Have you heard of Auntie Donna? Oh fuck, I love that sketch." It's almost like entering into mainstream culture. Why do you think that shift
oh
has happened? Even for instance, I'll give you an example. The guy who I get my coffee from, who's like this 50-year-old man, would
oh
never
shit
expect, maybe potentially wouldn't expect like an Auntie Donna fan,
yeah.
does the pud thing, just come on, give me a little bit of pud. He
Oh
does
my
that.
god.
So
Yeah,
like when
we
I saw
found
that, I
out.
was like,
I'll go, please, please.
I was like, holy shit! You like Auntie Donna's now hitting demographics that maybe you wouldn't think would be your demographic,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's some like we found out. I found out recently that you know the show The Boys, the Amazon Prime show The Boys
Yeah.
superhero show. They do a bit of put on the set of Amazon Prime.
Far
And then I also heard, and I don't know if this is true. I don't know if this is true, but
Just say it.
somebody
We don't have to
fucking
verify
told
it.
me. Someone told me they worked on the set, right? Of I think it might have been Hell's Kitchen, and Gordon Ramsay would reference breakfast goat.
Far out.
Right? Which is like, I don't know if that's true, but that is what fucking
Just stick
someone
with
told me.
it.
So that's what someone told me. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. Don't hold me to that. But that's what I was told, right? But it's I think it's just that thing. I mean, it's like the beauty of the internet. Like, no one's really. We're much bigger in Australia than we are anywhere else, but it gives you it gives you the chance to be international and like shit, man. Like I get recognized when I go to Disneyland in America, in Anaheim. Like people
Mm.
stop me and are like, "You want a photo? You're Mark from Auntie Donna." Which like
Yeah.
blows my mind. And
Yeah.
I went around America and I followed this band called Mr. Bungle, who I'm obsessed with. They did some reunion shows. Have you heard of them, Ferg? Do you know Mr.
No.
Bungle? They're like this old band. And anyway, I love them. They haven't released music for 20 years. And just like it was in New York and San Francisco and
Wow.
LA. And at every show, someone stopped me and recognized me. And
Wow.
it's mind blowing, man. It's like,
Yeah.
well, how, and why, and I guess that's just the power of the internet. But it's also, I mean, to be like, it's sometimes it's hard to talk like this. But also, we've just been putting everything into this for 8 years, like
Mm.
genuinely everything, and have sacrificed everything, and no one has wanted anything else other than the success of this group. And sometimes that happens and it doesn't work out, and we've just been lucky enough that we just put laser focus on this idea, on this project, and it's managed to break through, and we've started to, I think in some ways, become that household name in
Mm.
Australia, purely just through like perseverance, man.
Yeah.
Like purely
Yeah.
just through, just like honestly, like just through
Yeah.
doing it, and being lucky enough to have those successes along the way, and just keep pursuing it.
Mm.
We've never given it up, no matter how many times we've fallen or how many times we've been rejected or told or been said no. We've always believed in it to an absurd degree. And that's allowed us, I think, to go on and do this, which has been really cool.
Is it weird thinking back to that student production where yourself, Zach, and Broden met? Could you have ever envisioned in that context that you would achieve the success that you have now? Like, did you always have a game plan to pursue something as okay?
No, I don't know. I guess no, we did. I think we did.
Yeah.
I think we did. I think it's still a massive surprise because, like,
Yeah.
because I guess you're always like, why us? Like none of us come from families that have other people in the arts or ever saw it as a possibility or saw
Mm.
the stepping stones into how this can be a thing. you know, like my mum was a teacher and my dad was a butcher type thing. And like, I don't think, and both my brother and I turned out fairly artistic,
Yeah.
which is strange, probably because we grew up in such a non-artistic place that I don't know, it's like you rebel against that, you know, or
Yeah.
like, but it's also the kind of art that you're introduced to, you know, like it's that I saw Memento and Donnie Darko when I was like 14, and I was like, oh, you know, there's weird stuff out there that I like and engage with in a way, and then your brain goes, maybe I can do that kind of stuff one day, you know. But we did. I think from the start we've always had very, very ambitious goals. And we've always set those goals. Like we've always got, at any one time, we've always had a 6-month plan, a 1-year plan, a 2-year plan, and a 5-year plan. You know, like that we have those meetings, and and all through, especially the early days, much more so in the early days, it was always like, what are our goals? How do we achieve them? Let's set about trying to achieve them, and then reassess once we get to this spot. So it's like, while it is surprising, it hasn't felt like it's just happened all of a sudden. It's been a very methodical, gradual sort of like just ticking of boxes. And it's like, oh, that little step, oh good, you know, like we wanted to get funding from Screen Australia, great, we got some. Or we want to be on the ABC, oh great, we did that. It's like those little goals that we set ourselves, and it's you know, it's really helped. It's been the best way to get to where we are. So it's like, it's a weird yes and no, because does anyone ever expect it? I maybe not. But we were always ambitious enough to dream this big, if you will. You know.
So how big was your first show? Like how many seats was it at the comedy festival, that first ever one?
It was upstairs at the Portland Hotel, which I believe is no longer exists.
Okay.
It was 50 seats. The first night they had to take out the back row because there was a leak in the building. So the back row was out. So it was 40 seats. Tiny, but we did Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights at 11 p.m. And it was wild. It was wild and terrifying and scary. And but yeah, tiny little room, man. 50 seater.
I had a weird introduction to you guys. I didn't find you online or live. Like I found you in the street. I think it was like 2015. I was flyering for a friend's comedy festival show, and all these people came following you, Broden and Zach. And I was like to these guys, oh, who are you following? Who are you following? There's like loud music, like, oh, we're following Aunty Donna. They're doing a walking tour before their gig. And I'm like, oh, who's Aunty Donna? And they pointed at you, and you were crouched over, dressed in this like little, almost like a little Hagrid uniform, going up to people, and everybody was pissing themselves in the group. It felt like a party. And then that's kind of when I thought, I was like, whoa, who are those guys? You know, it was almost like Beatlemania on a very, you know, localized scale of like your hardcore fans. And imagine what that group of hardcore fans think now, you know, having seen you guys blow up. They'd be like, we were following them at the front of the town hall back in 2014, 2015. Like,
and we've got to know some of them as well. Like some of those fans that have been around the start. I still remember that was the first year when we did the walking bus, which was just a way, like Wednesdays are the slowest night, you know, because you've got Monday nights off for the festival, usually when it's on, when it hasn't been shut down because of a global pandemic. You've got Monday nights off usually. And then you do Tuesdays, which are cheap ass Tuesdays, right? Wednesdays, which there's nothing special about them, right? And then Thursday, Friday, you start to go into the weekend. People will go out on a Thursday night, Friday definitely, Saturday, Sunday, like, you know, you usually set, but Wednesdays are the hard sell. So we were like, well, let's try and entice people by doing a walking tour where we brought people around the different parts of the city. And then did like silly little things. And we did it that first year. And that was the first year. No, it was our third show. We were at, the other reason we wanted to do it is because we were in Trades Hall.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, everyone's like, Trades Hall, fuck that, it's too far. And we're like, it's actually walking distance, and we're
I
desperate
know.
to get audiences in. It's really hard to get audiences into to Trades Hall. So we're like, we got to do something. And so we tried that. And but it was that year, that third year was the first time we ever had fans, like people who had seen us on the internet and then gone, oh, now I know that they do live shows, and I'm gonna come and see their live shows, and then like want to meet us after the show. That was the first year that ever happened, and it was sometimes it was really interesting and fun and cool, and other times it was a bit full on, because it was also our first year without Adrian, after we lost a member. And there was one night.
Losing Adrian?
Oh, it was huge, man. Oh, it was huge. Like, and it was bigger for some people than others, but like Adrian and Broden have known each other since high school. And one of the reasons, and he also went to Ballarat, but he was a year above Broden. So when I was in first year, Adrian was in third year. Broden's accent when we're in second year. One of the reasons Aunty Donna kind of started was because Broden and Adrian wanted to write together and do comedy together. And they were an incredible writing team. They were so great. And a lot of our early sketches are just like those two guys fucking around, and a lot of our voice, like that sort of that style of comedy came from them. Like they were, I would argue, they was kind of the core of it. And then because they were the straight men as well, right? And then you had Zach and I that were the goofy ones, and we felt it was perfectly balanced, right? In the sense that it was like if it was like a straight line, you had like Adrian, who was the absolute straight man, right, on one end, and then you had kind of like Broden there as well. Oh no, I can't remember what the line was. I used to know. I'm not going to get into the line. I used to know Ferg, and then I was just explaining it, and I was like, I've forgotten what the line was. I've forgotten what it was. It used to be. I can't. I don't know. I can't tell you.
Don't worry about the line. Don't worry about the line.
It was so good. It was so good. I'm gonna remember it later. I'm gonna go, ah, shit. It was the line and the straight man and the. Anyway, it was a big deal because Broden lost his writing partner, but we also felt like we lost like the two straight men and the two goofy ones, and we had that we had that kind of balance. And then all of a sudden it was like, what do we have now? I guess it's a triangle. Does that still work? Does it not work? So that year was terrifying for so many reasons.
So now that you guys have kind of moved on from that initial stage, does Adrian, is he still kind of connected to the group, or is it like a Pete Best syndrome, or like what's his feeling watching you now?
Oh, like the thing about Adrian is he went off to not pursue sketch comedy anymore. You know, like he went off to do a very different thing because the you know, like I'm 32 and I own some comic books, you know, like you know, that's kind of what I have to my name, and it's not easy. And like I was talking about, when I say we sacrificed everything, you know, we really did just work shitty jobs that we hated. And I know everyone's kind of got to do this, but we would spend any free time we had working on Donna, and any time outside of that working and trying to survive and and live in the city so we could all be, you know, close. So, you know, that life's not for everyone, man. And I don't know why it was for me, and I don't know why it is for some people, but for some people are able to persevere through it and some people aren't. And I think both are legitimate choices, you know. And so you know, he just wanted a different life, and I respect that and still really like him, and everyone's still friends with him. It's like it was very amicable, because by the end it was reaching that point where it was starting to be like, man, are you in, are you out? You know, like, you know, And he was like, oh, well, I think I'm out. And I was like, okay, that's fine. We regrouped, we thought it out. And then the good thing was that everyone that was left in the group were people who were like 100% committed, And that's when, things started. So like, Adrian's great and awesome. And I hope he doesn't have any regrets, because there's really nothing to regret. There really isn't, because to get to where we are now would have been
just climbing up the steep.
So many years of shit and struggle. It's so easy to look at it now and go, oh, I bet you regret it. It's like, yeah, maybe now, but I bet you don't regret the fucking 6 years of living week to week and like being unsure if you could pay your rent, No one's going to regret that.
Was there any like pursuit of happiness moment where there was like a particularly bad point where you guys like, holy shit, I don't know if I can actually keep going on with this? Or was it always there, that fire?
I think it was always there. I think it was definitely always there for us. Like we never, we've also been super lucky, man, like in the sense that we haven't had, that was our only major setback, right? Yeah. Like because we had like a little bit of early success on the internet, going after funding and those kinds of things have always, there's not a lot of times we've been told no. There have been, like we made some pilots that didn't work out for TV and stuff. And that's, and that happens and that's fine. But other than that, there haven't been a lot of times where people have said no to us. And also we started creating a model where it didn't matter if people said no to us, because we had YouTube, so it was like, all right, a TV network doesn't want it, fine, we'll put our stuff on the internet, we'll get popular there, and then we'll go say hello to the people in person when we tour live. So we created a model where it was like it doesn't matter if people said no, and so that helped fuel that fire, because it was constantly, just every year was a bigger year for us. And so we didn't have a lot of years where it plateaued, like I guess people would argue that maybe the last few years it's gone a bit flat, but for me, it just feels like it's been getting bigger and better every year. So it's easy to keep that fire alive when that happens, man.
Has this pandemic taught you anything, maybe in terms, like, I know it's a big time for reflection and people kind of on their life is on pause really, and they're looking back. And I was talking to Will Anderson last night, and he said he's kind of realized that he's on like 25 comedy festivals in a row, and now he's spending more time at home, and maybe his like value system is altering. Have you had any like similar, like a metamorphosis like that, or have you how have you viewed it?
I don't know. Like I don't know. That's a hard question. Because my life has always been a bit more sporadic and hasn't had as much. Like I guess because we didn't do Comedy Festival last year for a number of reasons. I know it looks like I'm in an earthquake, but I can't sit and talk. I have to.
I like it. It's more dynamic.
Yeah. So I am sorry about that.
Just see your head.
Yeah. So for me, to be completely honest, I've once again super lucky. It has come at such a great time because we've just come off the back of the biggest project we've ever done in our lives, which unfortunately I can't talk about.
Wow. So something coming out that's like you guys have put an enormous amount of work into.
Yeah, if that's what you reckon.
Yeah, this is live, so be careful what you say.
So look, all I can say is it's the biggest project we've ever done. It's super. It's the best thing we've ever done. I'm so excited about it. But we literally arrived home from sort of finishing our work on it, and that's when like, the 2-week mandatory self-isolation happened. Like that legislation passed at midnight, and we landed at 5 a.m. So the pilot told us as we landed. So, and we've still been working on it while we've while we've been home. So like we still work every day and talk every single day, and I'm still doing the podcasts and stuff, which is great. But I needed a break, dude. Like I needed a break. And so honestly, it's been fucking great. It's just been great.
I appreciate that, honestly. Yeah, for some people, it's been a huge, like, reinvigoration of life through them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, I'm grateful for stuff. Like, I'm super, and I know not everyone's in that position, and I know how lucky I am. Like, I know how incredibly lucky I am. But yeah, like I've taken the opportunity to try and do something I've always wanted to do, which was like learn an instrument. And I'm just going to be a shit drummer for the rest of my life now, but better than no drum, better than no drum. So, you know, like, I don't know. And I just been, yeah, it's been good.
Yeah. That's okay to say.
Cause it's that weird thing where when we were working, I was going out and socializing a lot, and I'm not usually a very social person, bit of an introvert, which may surprise some people, but like, I don't know, I'm like a Charlie Brown. I get really like nervous at parties. I don't know what to say. I find it weird being around people I don't know. I get like socially exhausted. Like if I go out with people or to like a dinner party, because I'm over 30 now, so you do dinner parties. And I'll be like talky and happy, and then I'll just reach a point where I'm just like, I'm done. I can't
have that
fucking
a bit
talk.
as well. Your mind closes off.
Yeah. I'm just like exhausted. Socially, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Can't talk anymore. I can't do it. So I've always been a bit like that, but I was like, but one thing, my plan when I got back to Australia was, because my partner, Naomi, is very, very social. And I was like, I think I'm going to be more social when I get back to Australia and see people more. Because when I was overseas, I realized I was like, I can go out, because we were in Los Angeles for a while working, and so many Australians come through that city, and it's like, well, you're Australian, I know you. Like, let's, you know, we might not hang out if you're in Melbourne, but you're in LA, so let's go do something. That just seems to happen, right?
Yeah.
And I realized, I was like, oh wow, I can like go out and have fun with people, because I was there with my partner and she always wanted to see people, and then like go to work the next day and be fine. And in Melbourne, I think I was in a bit of a rut where I was like, if I'm working the next day, I just want to go home. I don't want to do anything. And then I think I would socially isolate myself to even though I'm a bit of an introvert, probably was putting that on myself too much. I know I'm rambling, by the way. I know I'm just rambling. But
no, I'm interested in this. You can see me nodding.
My point was,
if I do this, that means stop.
My point being that I was like, that was kind of like my resolution for when I got back. And then I got back and the country was like, you're not allowed to do anything and see anyone ever. And I was like, okay. So I never had to make that become a thing. So I'm happy as a pig in shit.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, I'll forget about that by the time shit's happening again.
Hey, Mark, final question.
Yes.
What's the first thing, mainly because Instagram just told me we've got 10 minutes before it cuts the stream, which I know Broden would never give me this amount of time, so I'm appreciative of that already.
Yes, he would. He's a sweet boy. He's like, he pulled me out of a bind the other week because I said I was going to attend a guy's Zoom party for his birthday, and I just fucking forgot. I just forgot. And then Broden saw the message and jumped in and said hi. And then I remembered, and thankfully they were still going, but I felt like crap. So Broden and I have been pulling each other out of forgetful binds all COVID.
Yeah. I remember because I've done a couple podcasts of you guys at your factory in Brunswick. And there was one time where Zach forgot, but he was walking past, so he joined. I don't remember that one. But like, I love that like serendipitous nature of Auntie Donna. You always get it when you get to interview them. The only
Yeah,
bad
you'll
thing
get one of us. One of us will be floating around. One, like, there's, there's that at any time, at any one
yeah.
time, unless all three of us are together when we're separate, one of us will be doing fucking nothing, and you can get in touch with one of us. So
I
anyway,
think you
last
had your
question.
dog. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
You
I
had
had
like your
Tarzan.
white, fluffy little
Yeah,
fucking. I'm trying to
Tarzo.
find the
Yeah,
photo.
my little cavoodle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got a lot of
it's sweet.
reports back from that. It's like, oh yeah, we heard the dog barking. Like,
Yeah, the little bastard. He loves the bark. He loves the bark.
but yeah, final question. What are you going to do the first thing when you get out of isolation?
I'm gonna see my dad and my nonna, and my mum, probably in that order. Not that says
There's a
anything,
hierarchy.
but yeah, I haven't seen them since October last year. I haven't seen any of my family since October last year
Far out.
because that's when we went overseas to work on this project. And then, as I said, the day I landed, you had to start self-isolating.
Holy man.
So yeah. So, oh yes, and by the way, anyone that listens to the podcast, my nonna is not dead. I said nana. I thought that would be clear enough for people who knew. I ended the last podcast by saying my nana's dead.
I was going to say, someone commented that. Someone's like, oh, that's, what did they say? Oh, that's good, they're not dead. I'm like,
yeah, don't worry. No. She's fine. She had a fall the other day. She was taken out of the kitty litter. She had a fall, but she's all right. She's definitely not dead.
That's good to hear.
But she did have a fall.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I just because my family's all split up now. Like my mum's moving to Brisbane soon, and my dad's now out in Geelong. And my brother and I live kind of close, which is nice, but I don't have that sort of close, tight knit sense of family. Anymore. So that's been a bit rough, not being able to see my pop and see my nonna.
What do they think of your success?
Oh, I mean, Nonna doesn't really know what's going on. She's an old Italian immigrant. The other one's got dementia, so she really doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't even remember me, which is heartbreaking to say the least. But Nonna, I don't think fully grasps the idea of being a celebrity. I think she knows that. I mean, not that I would say I'm a celebrity, but I guess people recognize me on the streets.
Yeah, recognize in Australia. Yeah.
Maybe that's
and Disneyland. Yeah.
And Disneyland. That's so weird when
it's pretty cool though.
Oh, it's amazing. It's like how? Yeah. It's like a needle in a haystack situation.
Did you get more excited than the fan?
Yeah, man. I was like, this is just unbelievable. It really broke my brain. And it's happened almost every time because I've been to Disneyland a lot, Ferg. I love Disneyland. I really love Disneyland. And it's happened a few times we've been there. But anyway, I can't remember what I was saying, but that's what what did I think of my success? Mum and Dad are both just happy that I found something because they were great. They, say what you will about the way they raised me. Oh no. But one thing that they did do really well, I think, was they never put any pressure on me to become anything. All they ever wanted was for me to be happy. So they were happy. They were really cool with me, fucking around and finding my feet and getting a real shit score at the end of year 12 because I wasn't passionate about anything and I hated studying and I wasn't very academic, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And they were like, that's cool. Take whatever time you need to figure that out. And I think, some people can drown in that kind of freedom. Lucky enough, I after 3 years, I found it and I started to swim. So I think they're just happy that something worked out for the second born. Because my older brother was did great in high school, got straight into uni, then started working for himself, and now he runs 2 companies.
Killing it.
But just not only killing it, but just in that very methodical, that's the way life is
Halfway.
done, kind of way. Whereas, you know, his was very much just like a steady line to the top, and mine's been all squiggly. So I'm glad that they had the patience to put up with that. And I think they've just been really happy that it's worked out. As am I, Ferg. As I was worried about myself for a while there, mate. Oh
Well,
my
all it takes
God.
is for, I think I've seen that happen when people, they find like a purpose or a drive and it completely alters like the meaning in their life and where they're going.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Hey, Mark, thanks so much for coming on the show. By chance, this has been a great interview. It's been so much fun.
Oh, thanks, man. That's cool to hear.
What are you going to do now? Go back to your trivia game?
Yeah, probably go
Where
crash
do
the
they
trivia
think you've
game now.
gone?
See how my partner's going. Ah, it's fine. She's
Okay,
fine. She's
that's
so
good.
much smarter than me, and like I barely contribute to the answers. So I'm sure she's crushing it without me. But we did win last week. We are the reigning champions. So I'm gonna go do that. Maybe have a glass of water. Play some Uncharted Lost Legacy. Hello, Nikki. Nikki Aiken's in the chat. Oh, Nikki Aiken is an amazing writer, and
Okay.
she worked on another project with me that the
Yeah.
shoot got shut down because of COVID. My partner Naomi and I have written and Nikki have written a TV show for ABC, which should have been coming out this year, but it's probably going to come out next year now.
Okay.
But anyway, hello, Nikki.
So I think I'm saying I've got like 1 minute left before it ends.
Oh, shit.
So the project, is it, so you can't say what it is, but it's coming out soon.
No, I can talk about that other one. The other one, myself and my partner Naomi and Nikki and our other friend Hum, we wrote a show called Why You Like This. That's coming out on ABC. We did the pilot for that the other year, but the Auntie Donna one I cannot talk about. No.
Big Auntie Donna thing on the horizon, but can't give any details.
No, I can't. Unfortunately,
That's
I'm sorry. I wish I could, Ferg. I wish I could give you a hot scoop, Ferg.
Well, Max, send my love to Broden, and I'll see you guys on the flip side of this.
I will. Thank you so much. It was a great
you,
interview. Love you, mate. I'll see you soon.
Man. Love you, man. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. That was so fun. So if you tuned in halfway through, essentially what happened is that Broden was meant to come on the live stream. I ad-libbed for probably 10 minutes, and then Mark happened to be watching the Beat Magazine live stream, so he jumped on. It says, if you love Mark, you will love our Auntie Donna Gallery. So thanks so much for tuning in. You can follow Beat Magazine at Beat Magazine. You can follow me at FergieFerg1. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you guys are doing well in isolation. We're doing this every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 o'clock. We talked to Auntie Donna. We talked to the founder of Netflix. We talked to DMAs. We talked to the Rubens. I'm going crazy. But I hope you guys are doing well. Who we got next week? Actually, fuck, there's someone coming on. We had Will Anderson last week. I can't remember who we got coming on next week. The Pope, all right? The fucking Pope's Fergalicious Death. Man, that Benny guy, that's my song. All right, I've got to leave. You can't ad-lib too much. Stay safe. Do what you do. Do what you love. Hug a lot. You know, people who are in your bubble, not outside of that. Say, all right, I'm going. Have a nice time. Good night, guys.